There's a certain fear that defined an entire generation. A fear born not in movie theaters but in living rooms, right from the TV screen in our homes. The year is 1990. Television is about to unleash something that will traumatize millions of kids and give a new face to horror. This, guys, is the story of how Stephen King's massive novel It became one of the most iconic and terrifying TV miniseries ever made. Everything started with a legend called George A. Romero, the guy who basically invented the modern zombie and had already worked with Stephen King on Creepshow. He was the first choice to direct It, and his idea was insane for the TV of the time. A 10-episode miniseries over 8 hours long, adapting every single part of the book. To write it, they brought in Lawrence D. Cohen, the same screenwriter who adapted Carrie for Brian De Palma. Stephen King was pretty happy with the choice. With Romero and Cohen in charge, it looked like his monster of a novel was in the best hands possible. For about a year, the two worked on the script and built a whole blueprint for what could have been the definitive version of it. But of course there was a problem. ABC, the network, started to panic. Not because of Pennywise, but because of money and content. The show, in their opinion, was too dark, it was too expensive, and it was too long. So they started to demand cuts. First from 10 episodes to 8, then to 6, and this for George Romero was a breaking point. He walked away partially because of this and partially because he was actually working on the remake of Night of the Living Dead. Cohen, on his side, followed soon after. He couldn't stand the idea of squeezing it into just 2 parts. And it's funny that the first part, the one most people agree is way better, is basically his version, while the second part was rewritten under a new director. As a new director, they choose Tommy Lee Wallace, the man behind Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. He admits that he hadn't even read the book before signing on. His job was simple and brutal. Finish the project but make it fit into 2 TV nights. And the biggest challenge was actually casting Pennywise. A bunch of names were thrown there, like Alice Cooper, Malcolm McDowell, even Roddy McDowell. But then came Tim Curry, and the rest, as we know, is history.
Welcome to downtown Derry, 1929.
Aaron, go!
Curry agreed to do it only if the makeup was kept simple. He had a horrible time with all the prosthetic he has to wear in the Ridley Scott's movie called Legend. So makeup artist Bart Mixon designed a look inspired by Phantom of the Opera. A decision that at the end turned out to be genius. Curry didn't need layers of latex. It was his performance that was the monster. He was so terrifying that some cast members avoided him off camera. And the crazy part is that he's in the miniseries for less than 20 minutes total. To pull in a big TV audience, they filled the adult roles with recognizable faces. Richard Thomas, John Ritter, Annette O'Toole, Harry Anderson, and Richard Masur, who played Stan Uris. But his character dies at the start. He's barely in 3 scenes and is dead in one of them. The kids cast, including Jonathan Brandis and Seth Green, brought real chemistry. They were apparently a nightmare to manage on set, but their energy made those scenes come alive. Filming started in the summer of 1990 in Vancouver with a budget of $12 million. And this was double of what most TV miniseries got back then. Locations like Stanley Park and Bunsen Lake became Derry. But TV censorship was really brutal. They couldn't show gore, couldn't imply too much child endangerment, so the filmmakers had to get creative. Instead of showing blood, for example, they suggested it. Even a skeleton has to be covered in seaweed instead of gore. Ironically, those limits forced them to focus more on the psychological horror side And that's part of why it works so well. As for Stephen King, he wasn't really involved. He gave his blessing but expected really nothing. Later, he admitted he thought it would flop and was shocked by how good it turned out. After hours of build-up and an incredible performance from Tim Curry, everything ends with a giant rubber spider. Yeah, that spider. And the finale has been mocked for decades, and even Tommy Lee Wallace admits it's a weak spot. Originally, the spider was supposed to be more terrifying, meaner, more detailed, but the effects team ran out of time and money. Replacing Pennywise's creepy presence with that thing wasn't maybe the best choice. So let's just say it didn't land. November 18th and 20th, 1990. It premieres on ABC and become a phenomenon. Around 30 million people tuned in. It was ABC's biggest success that year. Ironically, writer Lawrence Cohen later said the show was such a hit that the network regretted cutting it down. Tim Curry's performance got universal praise, and the series even won an Emmy for its score. More importantly, it traumatized a generation, turning clowns into nightmare fuel for years to come. And it opened the floodgates for other Stephen King miniseries like The Stand and the Tommy Knockers. Despite all the production issues, creative compromises, and that ridiculous spider at the end, it changed horror on television. It provided that real terror doesn't need a movie theater, it can crawl right out of our TVs. It gave us one of the most horror iconic villains, and for over 30 years that red balloon still means one thing.
Therefore, and when you're down here with me, you float down!